Hey guys, welcome back. This is another episode of Recovery Talk, and today I got my friend Johnny coming on. He'll be with us shortly. He's gonna tell us his story, his journey from addiction into recovery, and he's been sober about 5 years now. So I got to hear a little bit. I talked with him earlier, kind of tell me a little bit more in depth about his story. I mean, it's pretty amazing, and like I've always been saying, like if you have a story to tell, please reach out to me. We can make it happen. I don't necessarily. I got sober in a 12-step program, but it doesn't matter how anybody got sober. It's if you got sober, you got a story to tell that can inspire hope in somebody else. Man, I would love to hear it. With everything locked back down again, pandemic, coronavirus, all this stuff, everything's shut down. But then, what will never shut down is social media. Never gonna shut down. So I'm excited for today's show. Really pumped for it. Marty, what's up, man? And my friend Johnny that'll be here. He does his own show in Pasadena. He got his studio there. He'll bring people in and talk with them, about their story, their journey in recovery. I'm actually going to be doing it. We never agreed on a date yet. I'll be out there live with him in Pasadena. I'm really looking forward to that one as well. But I'm really excited, man, for today's show in specifically. I've been sober for almost 4 years now. February 17th will be 4 years. I'm just excited though. Anybody who has a story to tell about recovery, I'm on fire for. I don't know why exactly. It's just like, the stuff I've done active in my addiction and God has brought me out of it. Like I can't keep my mouth shut about it, about what he did. But here he comes, guys.
Yo, what's up, brother?
What's up, bro? How's it going?
It's going well, man. It's going well. How you doing?
All right. That's cool, man. Yeah, I was just talking about, I love to hear other people's stories of, how they got sober. Like me personally, I got sober in a 12-step program, but I don't care how somebody got sober,
Right.
and I love to just keep my mind open to, just open in general, because active in my addiction, man, like my mind was so closed, man. And it's like, all the blessings, because my mind is closed, just bouncing off me. I kept my mind closed. But, I'm excited, bro, to have you here. I'm pumped, man. Like, I've been waiting for this one. We was talking earlier about it. And, I got like a little sneak preview of it because majority of the people that I've been going live with since I started, I didn't know them. I just had a post. I posted it out. I got a bunch of responses back. I was following on Team 12, and then that's how I found you. And then
Shout out Team 12.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's so cool, man. But thank you again, for being here. I heard, I got a good idea of your story, which is pretty awesome, bro. So I'm really excited to hear everything that you have to say today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the time, dude. I really admire what you're doing, to be honest, because as you know, I have my own thing going on as well. So like anytime I see someone else, spreading the message and really just bringing awareness to addiction, trauma, or mental health, like I'm all for it, dude. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm grateful to be here. And also the other content that you're providing with your wife, I feel it's big because right now in the time of division, just to see that unity, the partners being together and just, spreading a message within you guys, I think is pretty big as well.
Yeah, because like, I'm like full blown all about recovery, but like these other things that I can do today, like, I have a wife. It's amazing that this woman said I do to somebody like me, but because like all these things is what recovery gave me, because my mind literally changed. So everything I did change, how I carry myself, even honestly, like profanity, like I used to just swear, I would just talk that way. And I never tried not to stop. I never tried to stop swearing. It just kind of happened to me. Like, I love God, but sometimes I cuss. And it's usually when I'm like really, really, really mad. Like, it's the only time, it'll slip out of my mouth. But
Right.
something like that, the marriage videos, I mean, it's all about paying it forward, man. When I got sober, the process of recovery, I learned, man, it taught me to think about other people more than I think about myself, and
Yep.
go out and carry the message, period, whether it's going to be recovery, it's going to be successful marriage, if you're an entrepreneur, or something like that, anything, but yeah, I was mentioning that you got your own show, and I can't wait to do it. So I spoke to my wife. I'll confirm with you after the show. I'll call you and then we can talk about it.
I'm excited about that, bro. I'm excited
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So, just let me know when you want me to get started on my backstory, bro, because as you know, like all stories, they're all pretty long, I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about it. It all starts from like childhood, at least for me, it did.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to try to keep it very concise
Mm-hmm.
and, break it down, because in this interview, what I really want to do is bring forth mainly the solution aspect and the recovery perspective from it, because I think that's the most important part. We all go through a lot of turbulence and things in our own personal lives, and I think those are very important to share. But most importantly, what I think is to really bring forth, and the message is the recovery aspect of it, no matter what you did, NA, AA, or your own program, or it was jail. Some people
Yeah.
get sober in jail.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and just get
Yep.
started on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm gonna take you guys back to my childhood, because that's when it all just basically started. Um, I'm gonna take you to the 7th grade. I was in the 7th grade, and I was always that kid that wanted to fit in. I always wanted to be, cool, just like anybody else. And at this point in time, my mom and my stepdad, they were really going through turbulence. They were like in the verge of, splitting up and stuff. And I was aware of it. I was aware of it. And I acted out. I started acting out. And there was a point in time in the 7th grade where I did my first line of crystal meth. That was the first drug I ever did. It wasn't alcohol. It was crystal meth. And that was my first drug, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this time when I did the 2 lines of meth, I was on one, dude. I was on one, I was freaking 12 years old on crystal meth. I'm going home, and I had to sober up a little bit. I just basically calmed down. Some friends walked me home and everything. And I go home, and my mom had already been drinking a little bit, and she kind of pulls me aside and my other brothers, and tells me that basically my dad, which is my stepdad, is not my real dad. He's not my biological father. He's my stepdad. And from that moment on, I really felt lied to, deceived, all of the above. All of the things that he had done for me, or the feelings that I felt, had freaking gone out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really unfortunate, because he passed away now, and I didn't really give him all the credit I felt like he really deserved,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not easy being a stepdad, taking on kids that are not yours. And that really sat with me. Now that I'm sober, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But when she told me this, right away, I got into this victimized mindset. I was on that victimized mentality from there on forth. Everything was all about why me. Everything happens to me.
Yeah.
Why is it happening to me? Understand? So like,
Mm-hmm.
that was my excuse for every little thing that I always did. Was like, well, I never met my real dad, or I grew up with a stepdad. I was lied to. I was a victim. So that was my excuse for me to try to get away with everything that I did, no matter what it was. No matter what it was. And I was this boy, man, that I really looked up to my stepdad. He's my dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was that kid that said, you know what, like, I would argue with the kids in school. I'd be like, my dad is stronger than your dad.
Yeah.
He can carry a car with one arm. He's smarter than your dad. I was that kid, right? So that really hurt me.
Yeah.
Moving forward, fast forwarding to, I was 12 at that age. So moving forward, I had gone to Mexico, going to high school. And I remember that was the first time I blacked out. My first time I ever tried alcohol, I blacked out in Mexico. You're familiar with, you said Hawaiians, you guys are familiar with like the Mexican culture. We drink a lot.
It's real similar.
Yeah, it's similar. So it's a part of it, grab a beer, just do you, so it's something that is a part of our culture, and it's something that, you can't really avoid. It's just there, and you want to be no part of them, so you do it. I blacked out. First time I was trying to dance with my aunt, and I freaking dropped her. I dropped her. Yeah, I fucking dropped her, dude. I blacked out. I blacked out that night, and that was the first blackout that I ever had at the age of 12. I overdid it, and like I said, moving forward, in high school, a little bit after high school, because throughout after middle school and high school, I actually started getting into sports. I kind of started getting my stuff together, and this was in a time where basketball was a big part of my life. So basketball was something that you could say kind of saved me for a little bit. But once after I was done with high school, I automatically hit the rave scene.
Yeah.
Once I hit the rave scene, I was doing ecstasy, experimenting with shrooms, cocaine. I was drinking a lot. And at this point in time, I was really making this my normal. I was accepting it. This was life now. You know what I mean? Like, this is how I dealt with problems. This is how I had fun. This is how I numbed myself. This was the way of life. This is what I conditioned myself to believe was me from now on, because this is how I met people. This is how I met girls. This is how I had fun. Fast forwarding through all of that, I had my sister. She was going to pharmacy tech school, and she said, "Hey, why don't you do this with me?" And at that time, I was like, like it wouldn't hurt to, maybe have some sort of career. And she was going to do it with me. So, I could probably get off easy if I just copy her.
Yeah.
That was me. I was always looking for the shortcut. I was always looking for the easy way out. So having her right there really made it easier for me. So we finished getting our certificate. I got my pharmacy tech license, and that was bad. That was not a good idea, because I love doing drugs. I love drinking, and it put me in an atmosphere where I had drugs everywhere, prescription drugs. And like I said, I always justified everything. Everything was like, why me, poor me? So if I saw the pharmacist doing forging signatures for doctors, I was like, you know what? I can do my dirt here too, because they can do it. So why can't I? So I was stealing from the mouth that fed me, in a sense. So I was pocketing, trying to make a profit as well. And that didn't sit right with me, but I did it anyway because I was justifying it.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting caught up. I blacked out one night. I had a pocket full of Xanax, and they took me in. Luckily, I got bail. They took me out, and I had to go through a program where I had to go through these NA 12-step meetings, this program, and I also had to pay. So once I got that out, it was like a slap on the wrist, like, as much as I don't want to admit it, I felt like if something else was done, I probably would have stopped. But I didn't, because it was just a slap on the wrist. All of these things that I went through prior to that was nothing. This thing that I went through, I lost my pharmacy tech license. I didn't stop drinking and using. Actually, it got worse.
Yeah.
It ended up getting worse. So moving on forward, I really felt like, holy crap, like I got to start over. I never once said drinking and doing drugs was a problem. That was the last thing on my mind. Of course, right? Like, it can't be. That cannot be the issue. That's my personality. That's how I have fun. That's how I meet women. It's embedded in me. So lost my pharmacy tech license. I was in a relationship with my kid's mother at this time. And because of my drinking, I was, and my insecurities, I was just really in a bad spot, and I didn't necessarily want to be in this relationship anymore. So I started lashing out. I would cheat. I would, disrespect her in very bad ways, emotionally. And I remember just waking up, because I wouldn't do this sober. I remember just waking up the next morning. Why did I do this? Like, well, that's not me. This is not the person. Why am I doing these things? And I never once accepted it being alcohol, drugs, whatever it was, until I got sober for like about 8 months. And I was at this point just doing it without a program. I was doing it. I out of pure willpower, just willpower. So 8 months came. It was one of my friend's birthday party. Hit me up. Hey, we're going to go to a bar, celebrate. At this time, I was like, yeah, I should be good. Not a problem. I go. First thing that happens is I order a Jack and Coke and I start drinking. I drive home like that. Nothing happened. And that's when it started. The following week, drank again, got an 8-ball of Coke and started racking up my lines and did all of that. And then right that weekend after that, I remember drinking again, of course, going to the restroom, and the nose was bleeding. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I saw somebody that was in pain, scared, angry, frustrated, and I said to myself, is this how my dad was or is? Because I never met him. And I thought to myself, is this the kind of father that I would want for myself or that I want my kids to have? And in that very moment, I realized that my biological father's absence triggered my presence. And that's when I understood and I realized the value of my own life. So that instance right there triggered something in my brain and said, dude, you're messing up. It wasn't the drunk drives. It wasn't mistreating people. It wasn't going to jail. It wasn't doing all these scumbag things. It wasn't self-inflicting wounds. It wasn't any of that. It was that thought that really triggered me that said, you have an issue. You need to get better for them and for yourself. So now that I let you know a little bit of the type of drinker and the user that I was, this is when the recovery part started happening. And this was all on my own. So I started, I realized in that moment that I did have an issue. I had an issue. And all of these things that I'm about to tell you, they really do stem from the 12 steps. And that's why I'm a big believer in the 12 steps, because even though I didn't do them, I did them subconsciously. So I understood that I had an issue. I got rid of my triggers. I cut off a lot of people that I associated with, that drank a lot, that weren't necessarily good for me or anything that I was about. So once that happened, I started practicing self-care. I practiced self-care with taking care of my body physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I started getting into chakras. I started reading, meditating. What I did was I kept a journal. Writing was big. It was huge for me because I'm going to fast forward a bit into 4 years sober, because that's what I was doing. 4 years sober. I had a flashback. Right? And at this moment, this flashback was me drunk, and somebody that I knew from my childhood, that was my neighbor, he was there in this flashback, and he was completely wasted. There was a big age gap between us, but this person was still there at the party. He came up to me, and all he could tell me was, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I didn't understand why he was apologizing. And I was like, for what? What are you apologizing for? He didn't tell me why. He expected me to know, and I was in denial. I acted like I didn't know anything. And so after that flashback, I realized, holy shit, I was molested as a child by this person. That's what happened. And I started looking back, and I was like, all of these thoughts that would just kept getting louder and louder, and these feelings that just kept getting stronger and stronger, I didn't have any control over, and I couldn't numb them, and I couldn't drink or any of that. So they became louder, and that's what happened. I started realizing that I was, sexually assaulted as a child. So that didn't sit right with me, in the sense that I did not acknowledge this person's apology.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple days later, after thinking about it so much and not having it sit right with me, I went to this person's house, and sure enough, he still lived there. He saw me, and we made eye contact, and I told him, you know what? I forgive you. I know you know what I'm talking about. And he looked like he wanted to tear up, but he just nodded his head. I shook his hand. I even gave him a hug, and we just went our own separate ways. And that moment right there, I felt was like a huge milestone, because I said, wow, like, for me to come this far to accept what had happened and forgive somebody, I had to have been doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to be. So after this instance, I started journaling even more, getting that off my back, because that's something that really haunted me, and that's something that I still have to deal with to this day.
Yeah.
This stuff does not go away. These are things that we have to address on a day in and day out basis, at least in my case. So I was doing the self-care, I was doing the journaling, I was doing the spiritual stuff, meditating. But one thing I also did want to add was I really started learning about the subconscious and conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of familiar with this. We were talking about
Yeah.
earlier how the conscious mind runs about 10 to 5% of the time, and our subconscious, which accepts all information, whether it's good or bad information, we're going to just absorb it.
Yeah.
Unless you're consciously aware about it and you just say, hey, this is not good for me, and you kind of just more alert about it.
Yeah.
So I started noticing that I had this belief system, this programming within me, that it was no longer serving me. This was no longer serving me. And I started reprogramming my subconscious mind by reading, by accepting certain things, and really digesting not just information, music, energy, by things that, benefited my life and benefited my own well-being. And so YouTube was huge. YouTube was a huge thing for me, because I would listen to these motivational videos, and it would trigger something in my mind to push me forward and to keep on striving to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had to split up with my kid's mom, one of the toughest things I've ever had to do, because I grew up without my dad. I never met him, and my stepdad was separated from my mom. So I was essentially with my kid's mom for the kids only.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not healthy for neither of us or the kids. So I made the toughest decision in my life to leave. And I could say that now we are probably in the best place we've ever been in, because we have such a good friendship. We can go on and on the phone talking about our kids, laughing. We probably talk now more than we ever did when we were together.
Wow.
It's crazy. It really is crazy, man. But I really had to do that. I really had to take that step forward and do that. So now we're talking about when I did that and the subconscious mind. Those initially were the steps that I took to get sober. And so once I was at my mom's house, I remember I was going to school for alcohol and drug abuse counseling. I met one of my friends there. He's the founder of Team 12, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in school together. I remember, because I was sleeping on the floor at my mom's house at this point. I was sleeping on the floor, and I remember talking to my sister. I was like, yo, like, I need to do something better with my life. Yeah, I'm sober, but this is not it. Like, there has to be something else. I hit a wall. Where I said, this is not, yeah, I'm sober and everything, but I think that there's something else, something that has more meaning to my life, something that I can do to be of service, to provide something out there for the world. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to express vulnerability, and I'm going to really show the world that you can have this exterior and have this certain image, but you really don't know what is going on the inside of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that is initially what I'm doing with the YouTube channel. And, it's doing pretty well. And it's, as much as it's helping people, I'm sure it's helping me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it's helping you.
Uh-huh.
Right? So that's something in recovery that oh shit, sorry about that. That's something in recovery that I've went through. Now that I'm surrounded by people that are sober, that have been through the 12 steps,
Mm-hmm.
I'm similar to you. I'm more open-minded about it.
Mm-hmm.
So initially I was like, that's not really me. I don't really belong there. Like, like I've never been intense. I wasn't a heroin addict, but as I started hanging out with my friend more, he brought me to these meetings. Our stories may be different, but the feelings that we felt on the inside are
Yeah.
all the same.
Yeah.
And so I started opening up to this. And now I'm actually going to do the 12 steps myself. Even though I am 5 years
Yeah.
and some change sober now, I said, you know what? There can't be no wrong by doing these steps. I'm only going to improve myself. I'm only going to improve even others if they watch my content. So I started opening up to this, and I'm actually about to start the 12 steps myself, even though I am 5 years sober, and I'm really excited about it. I'm
Yeah.
excited about it in all aspects. So as far as my story goes, that's where it is. That's where I'm at right now. I really had to just break it down like that. I know there's probably details that I missed, but that's just the broad of it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, bro, for sharing that. I really admire your vulnerability. Man, that's so inspiring, man, to me. And like how you were saying, you're keeping your mind open, and that, working the 12 steps. I mean, in my opinion, like if any human being works these steps, alcoholic or not, they become a better human being. Like it's
Yep.
designed that way. And that's like,
Mhm.
you're adding more value to yourself so you can add more value to other people, man. But
Exactly.
like that's the kind of people I surround myself with today. I never used to
Hmm.
do that before, and then, there's no secret why, my life turned out that way. My dad always would tell me, man, you hang around the barbershop long enough, you get your hair cut. If I look
Yep.
back, every single friend I had, drinking use, everyone. I never had one sober friend. Ever. I never had one like that. Unless like elementary school or something, but
Right.
as a
Right.
grown up, never did. But okay, Johnny, can I ask you some questions now, bro?
Of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
okay, let's
Of
get
course.
it. All right. So, the first one is, what have you learned about yourself now that you're sober?
Oof. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I've learned about myself now that I'm sober. But I think the number one thing that I've learned about myself that I'm sober now is that I have way more to work on. Like there is, okay, yeah, I'm sober and I don't drink anymore, but I have anxiety. I freaking, I don't like being in front of screens or talking to people in public.
Uh-huh.
I have insecurities. I have a shitload of insecurities. And these are all things that I'm thankful for because I realize that I can address them and I can work on them. And
Right.
it gives me a sense of like, okay, the work is not done.
Mhm.
There's still things that I need to work on, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. I'm so glad I met you, man, because we think so similarly now. Like I never used to think like this, but like just listening to you and how you carry yourself and how you had this change in your life, man. Oh man, I cannot wait, man, to go live with you in the studio.
That'll be sick, bro. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is, what were or are the biggest challenges staying sober?
The biggest challenges of staying sober were and are the fact that I can't numb myself anymore.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
fact that my thoughts and my feelings are just so much more amplified now, and having to address them right away on a day-to-day basis, because I think that's important. I feel like, if you stop doing work on yourself, no matter what route you go on, the odds of you falling back into that addiction are high.
Yeah.
So challenges is just dealing with the loudness going on in my head, in my heart, and in my soul, and just um, taking the effort to really acknowledge it and work on it.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times we just feel I mean, I get kind of cocky with it.
Hmm.
I'm just like, I got 5 years, I don't need to read. I don't really need to meditate anymore. Like and then you start feeling it.
Yeah.
You start feeling the unbalance within you. You start feeling like, damn, man, like something's not sitting right with me. And that's what it is. You're not doing the work on yourself. You're little by little falling back.
Hmm.
And I think
Definitely.
that's a huge challenge.
Yeah. Like I always say, we're for me personally, I'm a work in progress. I'm always under construction. And
Yep,
it'll be like that until the day I die. Like growth is
exactly.
just, going through the 12 steps. It's a lot of work. It is. It's a lot of work. But then, like for me, somewhere along the line, it just stopped being work, and it's just who I am now. It's just what I do. You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
so cool. Okay, next question. So, what are you most grateful for?
What I am most grateful for is there's a lot of things. I
Mm,
practice gratitude a lot. Like that's my number one thing is gratitude.
yeah.
But like to really say the most grateful thing that I have is all of the stuff that I went through, being assaulted as a child, not having to, met my biological father. Like these are things that I'm really grateful for because that has transformed and been a real catalyst to the person that I am now.
Right.
But if that had never happened, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you and
Mhm.
spreading the message of recovery and treatment.
Right.
So that's what
I'm like, I'm very similar. Because like for me, I'm very grateful for cocaine and vodka. Kind of like how you're great, because if it wasn't for that, there was no way I would want to be growing along spiritual lines the way that I am. I would just be kind of just like everybody else, just kind of just go through life and then accept whatever it throws at me, and no more really
Mhm.
any aspirations, goals, or dreams or nothing. Because like you said, like when you get sober, it's like, I mean, that's not really the goal. You're like, okay, I'm sober now. It's like, but you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, what, I mean, what do you want to be, an entrepreneur? You want to start this foundation, or what do you want to do? Like kind of, it's not being sober for me personally. It's not the goal. It's like, okay, that's where I'm gonna start. Okay, I'm sober now. Now I'm gonna start doing what I want to do.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so, okay, the next one. Ooh, I like this question. So, what does purpose mean to you, and do you feel a sense of purpose?
So purpose to me is this feeling. Purpose to me, a lot of people think that purpose is, something you get from money or because you're doing something to get a certain amount of money.
Uh-huh.
Purpose for me is just fulfilling a feeling within you or a void that gives back to people in one way, shape, or form. And the way I see my purpose is by expressing vulnerability,
Hmm.
by sharing my thoughts, my opinions, and my experiences, and really not putting up any barriers because that's who I was before. Before I put up a lot of fronts.
Hmm.
Initially when I got tatted, the whole thing why I got tattoos is because I had insecurities. I wanted to put up this front, this
Uh-huh.
blockade for people so they don't even see who I am on the inside or what I'm going through.
Right.
So expressing vulnerability and really sharing my message and trying to find a way to put the message out there for recovery and treatment
Hmm.
is really what my purpose is right now. And I'm huge on that. I'm huge on that. That's why I really respect what you're doing, bro.
Yeah, me too. Like it goes both ways, man. Like listening to you talk about purpose, I mean, I'm the same exact way. Like I really was just kind of existing through life prior to getting
Hmm.
sober. I mean, there
Yep.
was no the my purpose was to wake up and figure out how I can get drunk and high and nobody finds out about it. Like that really, that's what my purpose was.
Yep.
And but today, like, I have a purpose, and it's like how you just define your purpose. I don't know too many people that can be very detailed about their purpose. It's just amazing, like how you described it. Because like this disease of addiction, it gave me purpose. Like if I never became addicted to drugs and alcohol, I wouldn't be here with you right now. Like how you're mentioning, I would really just be stuck in myself, just only thinking about myself, just victim mentality. Because oh my gosh, you talked about that. I had a major victim mentality. I could blame everything that ever went wrong in my life on anybody else, and then I can justify it, and then my mind will buy it, and then that's just how I used to live. It was just
Yep.
amazing. But I'm so
And
grateful.
I also want to share that for anybody that is maybe having trouble seeking or finding their purpose, in reality, it's to be of service in a way to find something you're passionate about that you went through. Because let's face it, our world revolves around us, and that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find something that you went through and you're passionate about, you can turn it around to help other people. And imagine all of these things that we go through, traumatic experiences,
Mm-hmm.
addiction. Imagine if everybody did that and not
Yeah.
necessarily made it their job, but their hobby or their side hustle. How
Mm-hmm.
many people in this world will be getting help in
Yeah.
all aspects?
Yeah, that's a good point you made, because it could be like a bunch of other things, but I think what maybe could stop a lot of people is insecurities, it's fears, it's getting out of our comfort zone. But I mean, that growth never happens inside our comfort zone. It's always outside of the comfort zone,
Yep. Yep.
unfortunately. But me, I'm willing to be uncomfortable, to go after something that I want, kind of thing. But that's great, bro. Okay, okay, the last question. So, do you believe in God, higher power? If so, how do you practice your spirituality?
Yes, I believe in God. I believe in spirituality. I believe in a higher power. I believe in energy. I believe in anything that has to do with faith and something else being above us.
Hmm.
And that's something that I never really had. I grew up Catholic, and as I can't tell you the Hail Mary. I don't know any of those prayers, bro.
Yeah.
I really don't. I really don't. But one thing that I do know is that now, what I do is I get on my knees and I pray to God, and first and foremost, I say what I'm grateful for.
Hmm.
That has to be the number one thing I have to share at first. And secondly is, if there is anything that I have of an excess, I would ask him to take it from me and give it to somebody that doesn't have it.
Hmm.
Because I feel like if I have too much of it, it's just being wasted, and I would like to just give it to somebody that doesn't have that luxury that I may have. So spirituality to me is a feeling. It's a feeling, and I have to get on my knees. I can't be lazy.
Yeah.
That's just me, at least. I can't be laying down in bed and just talking. For me, I have to be in a vulnerable position and just say, hey, like, I'm here. Look at me. Like, I'm doing this for you, and you know, um, I'm appreciative for everything. And this feeling that I get when I pray, if I don't get this feeling, I feel like I'm not doing it right.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm just talking, and this feeling is really this feeling of goosebumps. It's like this rush that you get, like, in your back. You get chills. I just can't explain this feeling, bro. I really can't.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's just listening to you. I mean, man, you're so transparent, man. And like like I was telling you this, well, like when I first kind of seen you on social media. I mean, man, you get that mad dog look, you all tatted up. But then I talked to you, I was like, oh, man, this guy is so cool.
Yeah, yeah,
But I get it. I get that aura. We try to, I want all the guys to fear me and all the women to love me, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm so insecure, and that's why I did this. Like all of my tattoos is all cultural stuff, though. Really, I just love the Polynesian style tattooing. But
right.
like man, like your willingness to talk about your vulnerabilities, just being honest, transparent, talking about traumas. I mean, bringing awareness to all of these things, because somebody could watch this and be like, what? And it's so inspiring. Like somebody that looks like you, that's sharing like you don't see too many guys look like you talking like how you're talking. You know what I mean? We all know
Yeah,
we man. You know what I mean? We don't cry. We don't do this stuff. You know what I mean? We just beat you up. That's kind of like the macho thing.
yep.
So man, I thank you so much, bro, for being here. It has been a pleasure. I cannot wait to be in the studio with you, man. I'll call you after the show is done so we can talk more about it. But do you have
Of course.
anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, no, that's about it, man. I'm grateful to be on here, man. I appreciate you and everything that you're doing, man. Very grateful. Like, I had to do it, bro. Like, it doesn't feel right staying quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Like honestly, we could just talk like this for the next 2 hours, but we won't.
Pretty
We
sure.
won't.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
You
sure we
know,
could.
because we got so much stuff in common, man. We think so similarly. It's just amazing, man. Like and you one other thing that just by listening to you, I can see that you're very generous. You're about helping other people. You have like that heart for helping others. I mean, and that takes us when we think about other people more than ourselves, it takes us out of self. you know, which I found out for me, oh, I am the problem, the way that I think. So I got to get out. I got to stay out of it. You know,
Yeah.
being a good example for somebody else to follow. I mean, that's awesome, bro. You know, but okay, Johnny, that's gonna wrap it up. I'll give you a call after the show is over. But thank you
Okay.
again, bro. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
All
I'm
right,
very
bro.
grateful. Later, man. Have a good one.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, guys, that was my friend Johnny. So he has an amazing story, man. I'm so glad I met this guy. And you know, again, I'm gonna say this again. I say this at the beginning of the show, at the end of the show. If you have a story to tell on how you suffered from drugs and alcohol, and you no longer do, I would love to hear it. There's so much people out there desperate and dying, don't know what to do, but tons of people on social media, and we're just trying to spread the message that recovery is possible. It is very possible. You know, now it's the holidays. I mean, holidays today is great, but it wasn't always great, and it's not great for the person still suffering out there in the streets from this disease. So if that's you, somebody you know, got a story to tell, please, I would love to hear it. You know, the alcoholic that's still suffering. If I can recover, you can recover too. You know, your life matters. You know, your life matters. Not too many people goes around and sharing that message that your life matters. But I'm one of them. I'm an advocate for recovery. I'm pro recovery and less anti-addiction. You know, I focus on the positive things. But I'm wrapping it up, guys. So again, if you have a story, I would love to hear it. You can reach me here on my personal Instagram. I also have another one geared toward recovery, which is called Pro Recovery Power. So it's pro_recovery_power. So I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.